Now you'll notice here that that the gambling use disorder, even though it's a behavioral based disorder, the use criteria is very similar to the substances you see here. There are four or more in a 12-month period, which can be a little bit different than some of the others. Um, but the criteria is itself is pretty similar to the substance classes. So here you'll see some of the cognitive and behavioral nuances of gambling use disorder that are distinct from, at least in criteria, from the classes of different substances. Um, and and also, this can be tricky here. Gambling Not Better Explained by a Manic Episode, because gambling behavior is relatively common in a manic or hypomanic episode, as I think we touched on when we talked about the bipolar related disorder section. So, and essentially the way you do it is to kind of look and see if there is gambling behavior, and you know, look for even recreational or seemingly socially acceptable non-use disorder level of gambling outside a manic episode. Anyone who has a history of bipolar disorder, even when they're not in the throes of a mood episode, um, probably is not somebody who should be engaging in gambling anymore than someone who is a diabetic, should be engage, consuming fast food or ice cream, if that makes any sense. So, so you kind of just have to watch for that. So, somewhat like analogous to alcohol, there can be kind of a binge style of gambling, where someone may not gamble for a very long time um, and then do an intense amount of gambling with significant functional consequences, i.e., financial, economic consequences. So that is something to kind of watch out for. Certainly, people can experience a gambling use disorder in a way that they are engaging in gambling behavior every single day and can't go a day without it. But there are certainly others who can refrain from gambling for long periods of time, and this is also in terms of people kind of having like having a single drink and that turning into a binge after an extended period of sobriety. It's kind of a similar phenomenon can happen with folks who make a single sports bet. This is and not necessarily to argue that the policy changes we've seen around the legalization of sports gambling are necessarily wrong or bad, um, but it does create kind of more potential traps for a person who is in gambling recovery.